What do you do when you can't see any evidence that your life is going to get better? How do you have hope when your marriage is falling apart? When you're separated and you don't know what's going to happen in your marriage? When the divorce you never wanted is suddenly your reality? When you're lying awake at 2 o'clock in the morning wondering what happened to the life you thought you were going to have? People will tell you to have faith, have hope, trust God. And you might be thinking, I want to, but how? How do you believe there is light ahead when all you can see right now is darkness? A few years ago, I had an experience that gave me a completely different way of thinking about that question. Welcome back to Find the Joy with Jen. I'm Jen Zingmark, your certified life and divorce coach. I help Christian and Latter-day Saint men and women find hope, healing, and happiness through separation, divorce, and other difficult seasons of life. And today, we're talking about something you desperately need when life doesn't go the way you planned. Hope. Not pretending that everything is okay and not ignoring reality. Not putting on a smile and telling everyone you're fine when you're absolutely not fine. Real hope, friends, the kind that allows you to keep moving forward even when you don't know what's going to happen next. A few years ago, when I was out in Utah speaking at a singles conference in the winter, there was snow everywhere. One morning, I experienced something that I had almost forgotten after living in the South for so many years, a Utah winter inversion. If you've never experienced one, imagine waking up and everything around you is gray. The mountains disappear, the sky even disappears. The sunshine is completely covered. There's a thick layer of clouds and fog and pollution trapped down in the valley. And you can feel just the weight of the air. It's gray and dark and dreary. Everything looks gloomy. And if you live in Utah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And what is interesting is how quickly that can start to affect the way you feel. That particular day, I remember feeling heavier, a little down. There wasn't anything specific going on in my life that was causing me to feel that way. It was just the atmosphere. It was dark and gray outside, and I was feeling the weight of it affecting my mood and my energy. Later that day, I boarded a plane to fly back to South Carolina, and as the plane took off, we began climbing through the thick layer of clouds. It was gray, dark, more gray, and then suddenly the sun was blinding. It was bright and beautiful, brilliant sunshine everywhere, coming in all the windows. I remember looking out the window of the plane and being completely amazed at how dramatically everything changed. Below us, there was an incredibly thick blanket of clouds covering the entire valley. And above, it was gorgeous, y'all. It was glorious and beautiful. The sun hadn't disappeared, it didn't stop shining. Nothing had happened to the sun at all. I simply couldn't see it from where I had been standing before. And I remember thinking, this is exactly what hope is, because sometimes life feels like an inversion, and divorce can absolutely feel that way. You can become so encompassed by heartbreak and fear and uncertainty, anger, loneliness, financial stress, custody concerns, legal decisions, and all the changes in your relationship and in your life, and questions about your future, that eventually those things are all you can see. And it's heavy and dark. Your perspective becomes limited to that valley that you're stuck in. And when you're standing in that valley long enough, it is incredibly easy to start believing that clouds cover the whole sky, but they're not. And that is what I want you to remember today, my friends. The clouds are not the full sky. There is so much more happening than what you can currently see if that's where you're standing. And this is where faith becomes so important. There are a few scriptures that really help bring this to light. First John chapter 1 verse 5 teaches us that God is light and in him there is no darkness at all. I love that beautiful imagery. God is light. Also in the Doctrine and Covenants in section 50 verse 24 it says that which is of God is light, and he that receiveth that light and continueth in God receives more light, and that light grows brighter and brighter until the perfect day. Sometimes we can feel like God's light is easy and natural and all around us when life is going well and our prayers seem to be answered, our relationships feel secure, and we really know where we're headed. And sometimes life changes almost like that, and we're covered in darkness and clouds. And that's when our faith gets much harder. That's also when we have to deepen our faith and strengthen our spiritual muscles. It's relatively easy to trust God when your life looks the way you hope that it would. The real test comes when it doesn't. Can I trust God when I don't know what is going to happen in my marriage? Can I trust Him when my marriage has ended? Can I trust Him when someone else made choices that dramatically affected my life, broke my heart, changed my family dynamic forever? Can I trust God when I have prayed and prayed and the answer hasn't come and it doesn't look like an answer I ever wanted? Can I trust God when I don't see Him working? Those are much harder questions, my friend, and I know what that feels like. And maybe that is exactly where you are today. Maybe you are asking God, where are you? Because you don't see Him or feel Him right now. I want you to remember this image of the inversion that I shared with you. Your inability to see the sun does not mean that the sun stopped shining. Your inability to see what God is doing does not mean that God has stopped working in your life. Now, I want to be really clear about something, friends. Hope does not mean pretending. Hope doesn't mean you tell yourself your marriage is wonderful when it isn't. It doesn't mean you ignore betrayal or abuse, addiction or dishonesty, unhealthy behavior, or serious problems. It doesn't mean pretending divorce isn't painful. It doesn't mean you tell yourself that everything is just great while your heart is breaking. That's not hope. Hope looks reality directly in the face and says, this is really hard. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I don't like where I am right now, but I believe this is not the end of my story. That is hope, my friends. And sometimes hope is much, and sometimes hope is much smaller than we imagine. Maybe you can't believe today that you're going to have some incredible life 5 years from now. That's okay. You don't have to believe that yet. You don't need to see 5 years down the road or even believe you can have a different life in 5 years. Maybe you can't even see 6 months from now. That's okay. You don't need to. Think about driving your car at night. The headlights don't illuminate the entire road between you and your final destination. They just illuminate enough in front of you. You drive a little bit farther and they illuminate a little bit more, and then a little bit more. And eventually you arrive somewhere you couldn't see when you started. I think God works like that sometimes. We don't have the entire map. God often just gives us enough light for our next right step. So, if you're going through divorce right now, instead of asking, how am I going to rebuild my entire life? Maybe you just ask, what is my next right step? Maybe it's making an appointment that you've been avoiding. Maybe it's talking to your bishop or a therapist or a coach or an attorney or someone you trust. Maybe it's getting your finances organized. Maybe it's just setting a boundary or apologizing for something that you want to take responsibility for. Maybe it's choosing not to send that angry text message or email. Maybe it's just getting out of bed for today, taking a shower, praying, spending some time in your scripture, going for a walk, and getting through today. Don't underestimate those small steps. This is how we build what I like to call our spiritual muscles. Nobody walks into a gym and picks up the heaviest weight in the building on their first day and suddenly becomes stronger and builds muscle that way. Strength develops through resistance. Our spiritual strength often develops the same way. We learn to trust God by trusting Him when it's really hard. We learn faith by practicing faith when we don't have all the answers, when we can't see the sun shining because of all the clouds. We learn hope by choosing hope when our circumstances haven't changed yet. When we do that, eventually something begins to happen. We grow stronger, not necessarily because our trials immediately disappear, but because we're becoming different while we're walking through our trials. That happened to me through my divorce journey. I would never have chosen divorce. I fought for my marriage for years. And when it ended, I could not even imagine how my life would ever be good again one day. My future looked nothing like the future I had planned, but God could see things that I couldn't see. And I relied on that belief and faith in Him through that time. Looking back now, I can see His hand in places where I couldn't see it at the time. And that's why I feel so strongly about this message. And I really want to share it with you today. If you're in the fog right now, please don't make permanent conclusions about your future based on what you can see from the inside of this temporary storm in your life. You don't know what God is doing yet. There may be relationships that haven't formed, people you haven't met, strength you haven't even developed yet, opportunities that you can't even imagine for yourself or your family, ways that you're going to serve other people because of what you're learning right now. There may be blessings ahead that aren't even on your radar yet. That doesn't mean that everything that has happened was supposed to happen. Yes, you can choose to believe that or not, but it doesn't mean that every painful choice someone else made was God's will. It just means that God is bigger than whatever has happened in your life. He can still work for good in your life. He can still guide you. He can still heal you, teach you, and help you grow stronger, wiser, more faithful, more confident, and more connected to Him through this trial. Divorce is not the end of your happiness. It's not the end of your life. It's not the end of your family. And it's certainly not the end of God's involvement in your life, my friend. Another scripture that I love is in Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10. Fear not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God, and I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. I love this scripture. I rely on it all the time. Notice that God does not say nothing difficult will ever happen. He just says, I will be with you. I will always uphold you. That is the reassurance and the strength that we all need. So maybe today you don't need God to show you exactly how everything will work out. Maybe you just need to remember that He is still with you, even though everything hasn't worked out yet, even though you can't see that sunshine. That is a different kind of faith. I think it's a stronger one. So I want to leave you with a question. Where in your life have you mistaken the clouds for the entire sky? Maybe you're looking at your divorce and thinking, this has ruined everything. Maybe you're separated or considering divorce and thinking, my life will never be normal again. Maybe you're thinking there are no good options here. Or maybe you've been divorced for years and you're wondering, why am I still struggling with this? Whatever your clouds or inversion may look like, remember that what I saw when that airplane broke through the clouds was that the light was already there. I just couldn't see it. I couldn't feel it. And maybe that is exactly where you are right now. Maybe all you can see now is dark clouds, gray, feel the heaviness of the fog. You don't know how your marriage will turn out. You don't know what life after divorce will actually look like. You don't know when the loneliness that you feel right now will end. And you don't know when you'll feel like yourself again. I want you to know you don't have to know. You don't have to be able to see 6 months from now. You just need enough light, enough faith, enough hope to take that next right step. Keep praying, keep studying, keep seeking God, keep doing the next right thing. Keep taking responsibility for what is yours. Keep learning, keep growing, keep becoming the person God is helping you to become. Don't confuse this cloudy season with a hopeless future. The light is still there, my friend, and God is not finished in your life. I promise, as you trust Him and lean into your faith and your hope that He is still writing a beautiful story in your life, you will see miracles in your life. And if you haven't seen those miracles yet, don't give up because God is not finished. I hope this message has helped you today. Please share with me in the comments where you're watching or listening from today. I read every one of your comments, and I would really love to connect with you and hear more about your story. Tell me, what is one thing that is helping you hold on to your hope right now? Your answer may be exactly what someone else needs to read or hear today. And if you're navigating separation or divorce and these kinds of messages and conversations are helping you, make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel. That way you will receive more messages as I release them every week. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. This is why I do what I do. I want to help more people to have hope and faith and hold on to your covenants just a little bit longer. The light is coming, my friend. Don't give up. Thanks so much for being here, Joy Seeker. Divorce may be part of your story, but it does not have to define your future. You can heal, you can rebuild, and you can find joy again. Keep moving forward, keep trusting God, and keep finding joy in your journey. I will see you next time. Bye, y'all.